I should probably do some kind of summary of what we're going to talk about. Like
Yes,
that would be a good
That'd be
idea.
good. Yeah.
Okay, because that's what professional podcasts do. They talk about what they're going to talk about,
and then they talk about it.
We can pretend to be professional.
And
That's
they
definitely
recap what they talked about.
Okay. I'm sure we're recording. 1, 2, 3. Yes, we're good. And I think we are good to go. I guess I will do the social thing. And I got to get the chat out.
She got a really weird email from somebody that found me on LinkedIn. I'm very confused by this.
Somebody that found you on LinkedIn. Say no more.
I know. So weird. I hate LinkedIn, but I feel like I have to use it.
Yeah.
I've yet to make mine. I probably should at some point.
Okay, so I got the chat up. Don't need really anything else, I guess. And we will signal the podcast as live. Yes, another new guy. We will introduce Jeff shortly.
Technically, he's not new.
Technically, he's not new. Jeff's been around a while.
I've been around. Just haven't been on here.
We keep him in the closet. We dust him off sometimes. Okay. I think we're ready to go then. Make sure the social thing went out. Okay. Welcome to the Android Police Podcast. I'm your host, David Ruddick.
I'm Ryan Whitwam.
I'm Jeff Beck.
And I'm Corbin Davenport.
And this week on the show, we've got a few things to discuss with you. We're going to start off with Ryan's re-review of the LG Watch Style, one of Google's Don't Call It a Pixel smartwatches, developed in partnership with LG. And we're going to move on after that. Hopefully some discussion of HTC's U Ultra, a new speaker from V-Moda that Jeff's going to tell us about. And from there, discuss probably the Google Pixel's ongoing stock issues, which probably could have been a topic in every single show for the last 5 months. So I'll let Ryan take it away with his thoughts on the LG Watch Style now. So we have 2 reviews of this watch on the site now, and I think the conclusions drawn diverge slightly.
You should not buy this watch under any circumstances. I cannot think of a single person or use case that would match with this product. Okay, so it's small. That's really the nicest thing I can say about it. Like, if you want a small smartwatch, there aren't really a lot of them. A lot of them are kind of big and bulky. And this one is, it's fairly small. It's got a little 42 sort of millimeter case. So, I mean, if you have small wrists, there are certainly worse watches you can wear. So here's the thing, $250, and it kind of isn't any better than the watches that we had last year. It doesn't, the only thing it has that's new is Wear 2.0, which I will get to in a moment.
But Ryan, it has a crown.
Huh? Yeah,
It's a rotating crown.
It has the digital crown, which, okay, fine, whatever. So the band that it comes with is 18 millimeters wide, which I think is way too thin for a men's watch. That's fine for a women's watch, but I think it just looks way too feminine with the stock band, which is a mode band, one of Google's hot swap watch band things with a little clicker opening that you just sort of, detach and like pull them off and you can snap new ones on. That's neat and all, but those are like $50 or $60 each, and they're not really particularly good. I mean, the leather is like very soft, so it starts to crease quickly, and it's just not really worth the cost, which I guess is kind of the theme for this watch. There is no NFC in it, so no Android Pay, which is one of the things I was looking forward to most about the new batch of watches. So you can't do that. There's no heart rate sensor, so the only fitness tracking you get is the physical movement, like step counting. Supposedly Wear 2.0 is supposed to do more like automatic tracking of exercise, but I have found that the watch style really does not. It seems to know vaguely when I'm working out, but it never picks the right activity, and there's just not a lot of useful data. So you might notice I have replaced the stock band on this, and if you're watching the video, with with a mesh band that was actually made for the Huawei watch, because the Huawei watch bands all taper out to 20 millimeters from 18, so it looks a lot better, I think, than the stock band. I mean, the design overall, it's just very boring. It's uninspired. It's got the rounded look. There's kind of a lot of bezel that they don't do anything interesting with. The button, so yeah, it's a button, and it is also a digital crown that rotates. The rotation thing, that's cool and all. I have no objection. It seems like a useful way to page through long lists, which you will find a lot of in Wear 2.0. My big problem with the watch, though, is Wear 2.0, because Google really, I don't know what they were doing with all the extra months they spent working on it, because the notifications are real bad. Like, every single Gmail notification has its own page now in the main stack. And
it's awful. And
I don't understand why, none of them even tell you what account it came from. So if you have more than one account on your phone, like I do, you have to guess from the context of the email which one it came from. I'm never going to reply to an email on my watch, because I'm always like, wait, which account did this come to? And then of course it takes forever to page through all those notifications, and Wear 2.0 has this tendency to move playback notifications to the very bottom of the stack as soon as you pause them. So resuming playback from the watch, which is something that I do frequently, is totally not worth the time investment. It's easier to just pick up the phone and hit the play button than to page through 20 screens of emails to find the playback notification. It's basically a mess with the notifications. And I mean, the watch face stuff is good. I think that's the best thing about Wear 2.0. There are third-party complications now in the watch faces. So if you install Weather Timeline, for example, you can add the Weather Timeline complication to watch faces, so you don't have to use whatever weather provider a watch face has built in. You can just drop Weather Timeline on there, which is neat. And switching watch faces is fast. You just swipe side to side to get new watch faces, and you control which watch faces show up in that list, so you don't automatically have everything sync over. And it's the same thing with apps now. There's the Play Store client on the watch, so you can decide what is and isn't installed, so you don't automatically have everything on your phone with a Wear component syncing over to the watch. Those are the good things. Everything else is whatever. I don't really care. It's just I don't know why anybody would buy it for $250. You should just buy a ZenWatch 3.
Yeah, but you could buy a Huawei Watch 2 for unknown dollars.
Yeah,
that either.
I guess. I mean, I'm really hoping that Google does something to fix the notification thing, because I really just don't like using Wear 2.0. I'm still wearing the Huawei Watch and the second gen Moto 360 a lot. Neither one of them have gotten updates, and I really kind of prefer that.
If my band wasn't torn, I'd still be wearing my Sony Smartwatch 3. I love that thing.
Yeah, I've got one of those.
I've got
one of those. Everyone got super
upset when they weren't getting updated.
Yeah.
Because everyone expected it to get 2.0, so it activate the NFC, and that did not happen. Everyone was mad.
Sony sent them again.
I mean, I wager there were probably other concerns that I don't know if the NFC module in that watch was good enough to actually do payments. It was, I mean, it didn't really do anything before, but it would open the Play Store, I think, if you tapped it to a phone, and it was super sketchy about reading. So who knows? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, at this point, I'm concerned for Wear's future even more so than I was a few months ago.
Yeah, I definitely echo that sentiment. I mean, I'm going to review the Huawei Watch 2. Hopefully that'll be out early next week. And I will say that the notification changes to me, they're bad, but I'm adapting. I'm getting used to it. It still feels janky, but I'm dealing with it for the most part.
Yeah, but notifications are probably, for me at least, the most important aspect of a smartwatch. That's what I use it for most.
What I don't like is they're not surfaced by default. I don't like that. I don't like to have to swipe up to find them.
Yeah, you know what is I mean, I always turned off the card at the bottom of the screen, but I liked that the card would like pop up when something new came in. I mean, now it doesn't do that. You get like a little floating icon for a second on certain screens if you're like actually looking at the watch when something comes in. But so like you can't even like if you were the kind of person who wanted to have the top card always visible, like you had a watch face that wasn't obscured by that, you could have like you could have playback notifications always visible or something like that, and you can't do that on Wear 2.0.
Yeah, and I think so. The other thing that I wanted to like with Wear 2.0 was Android Pay, which I think is what everybody's kind of hoping would be like the turning point for Android Wear. The problem is, there's an article on Android Central by Alex Doby, and he's exactly right. It sucks to use. It legitimately is not. It's not convenience. So the thing with Android Pay on Wear, you have these hurdles that Google's put in place, and some of them are just you can understand why they're there. So to use Android Pay on Android Wear, you explicitly have to open the Android Pay app. There is no other way to do it. So you have your option. You have two options essentially. You can put a shortcut to the Pay app as a complication on your watch face, which is what I did, or you can assign it if your watch has more than one button to a custom button, which works for the Watch Sport, and I think works with the Huawei Watch too, but I haven't set it up that way yet. And the other thing is you have to have a lock screen set. So that's not usually going to be a problem because the lock screen is based on whether or not your watch has left contact with your wrist based on the PPG sensor recently, and if so, it'll lock, but otherwise it should say unlocked. But opening the app is a pain. And then because the NFC element on the Watch 2 is in the bezel, you have to crane over your arm over the NFC terminal in a way it's really awkward. And it's just like it would make infinitely more sense for the NFC coil to be at the, and I know like this doesn't make sense from a watch strap, swappability standpoint. It would make so much more sense if the NFC coil was at the bottom of your wrist where the watch straps together. That would be much more natural, and a lot easier to articulate your hand too, because you're not trying to put your wrist upside down. So the 3 times I've tried to use it, it's always failed because the NFC terminal, wherever I've been using it, is inactive. Because I get excited every time. I'm like, all right, I got to try. I got to see if it works. And then every time I look like an idiot for like 30 seconds. I got my around on this thing.
That was always my concern using NFC.
Oh, you
payments,
look so
stupid. It's gotten better now. I think most.
Oh no, with the watch, you look as stupid now as you did with the phone like 4 years ago. That's the problem.
Sure.
Everybody's looking at you like, what? There was somebody I met that had said, "Oh, the Samsung ones work," and I was like, "Okay, so there are some people out there."
Yeah. So I used the Gear S3 for a while, and with Samsung Pay, and that's even more risky because it works on any terminal. So you're like, I'll just use this watch payment thing at this place where they don't even have NFC payments, and if somebody sees you doing it, they're just like, what is happening right now?
Yeah. So I think Android Pay, as it is implemented right now on Android Wear, doesn't actually make Wear a more compelling experience. I think the only place where it makes real sense is if you are in a situation where you have one of the standalone watches, or you use it when you don't have your phone with you, or you can't get to your phone for whatever reason. And I can't really recall many situations where that would be applicable to me. Generally, I have my phone in my pocket, or literally my phone is out because I'm standing in line while I'm waiting to pay for something, and I'm looking at my phone. And the phone's a lot more convenient.
Yeah, I can count the number of times I've been somewhere with my smartwatch, but not my phone. Maybe 5 times. It just doesn't come up very much.
I swear it's easier just to pull the credit card out of my wallet than to like pull up the Android Pay app and PIN number. It's just.
You don't have to open the Android Pay app on a phone.
That's true. That's true.
And that's pretty easy usually. I find, especially like in my wallet, like I don't have separate little credit card bill holders. I just have like 5 cards that are all smacked together in like one pocket. And so for me, it is easier to just take out the phone, which I know has the credit card I want to use set by default. And I'm on my phone anyway, so I don't have to take out my wallet. I think I've found the convenience case there. I think, at least for me.
It varies for me based on the store, because some of the readers do make it kind of a pain in the butt still. Like you have to say, yes, process this as credit. Yes, this amount is okay. Yes, I'm super sure this amount is okay. Please just give me the receipt.
Yeah. The real pain for me is drive-throughs, like when they have the reader inside the window and you go to pay with your phone or watch, and they're like, oh, you got to be inside McDonald's to use it. So
there's a gas station near me that just added NFC payment at the pumps, which I think is pretty cool. That is a thing I hope to see every place.
Because I will say, there's nothing I want to touch less than a gas station pump.
Right.
That is like, I'm pretty sure they're like, scientists should be like, whatchamacallit, people who study diseases should be studying gas station pumps, because there have to be millions and millions of diverse bacteria and viruses all over those things.
Yes.
But I think that we could also talk about some other things that are going on with Android Wear in the last couple of days. And one of those things, or two of those things, are two new, very expensive watches. One from Tag Heuer, I don't know how to pronounce that, and I'm not going to pretend to. And the other one from Montblanc, which we don't have up on the site yet, I don't think. But It's cost like $900.
Yeah, the Tag Heuer one. I'm just going to say Tag Heuer, they can deal with it. That one was, I think it's 1,500, 1,600, something like that. Jeez. I wrote the post. I should probably know, but I don't.
Yeah, so the tags still, was it 1,500 or 1,600 this year?
And that's like the bottom price, right? Aren't there additional options for
yes,
bands?
Oh, yes. Are there ever?
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
If you would like a version of this watch with diamonds, they will sell you one, and it's like $6,000 or something. It can get stupid expensive. They also have like solid gold versions and everything. It's not the sort of thing that most people would ever in a million years buy.
Yeah, you think that's stupid expensive? Wait till we talk about this speaker I'm gonna tell you guys about.
Yeah, this
I can't even imagine having a solid gold smartwatch. That's insane.
It's and the thing is, like, I don't even think that, just like the last Tag Heuer watch, I don't think this one looks very nice.
But you know what? We're not watch guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can tell when something's ugly, and I feel like this is ugly.
Yeah, but I've seen people wearing watches, and I apparently, the definition of ugly does not really get across to some people in the same way.
Well, the plus of a gold-plated watch is during the zombie apocalypse, you can just shave off pieces of it instead of using NFC and just trade pieces of your watch. Very handy.
Absolutely, or just get one with diamonds and just pop one out every time.
Exactly,
you make a transaction.
Chicken farm watch diamond. Here you go.
So
my watch doesn't tell the time because there's no electricity, but I can use it as currency.
Exactly.
This watch also has a dumb name. It's the Tag Heuer Connected Modular 45. That's the name of it.
So by modular, what they mean is you can put the straps on mechanical watches, right? That's what they mean.
So it's a little bit more than that. So when you buy it, they're basically a bunch of different body styles and lug styles and straps. And if you buy multiple straps and lugs, like, you can take the core out and you can swap on different pieces. So it's slightly modular, kind of.
So it's like the Sony Smartwatch 3, basically.
Yeah, kind of. But I mean, I guess you could also, like, you could take like a different strap and put different lugs on and then put it in the watch. But then, yeah, you can also take out the core of the watch that is, the smart part, and put, one of their mechanical watches in it. And I think they'll sell you a promo bundle thing for $17,000. It has one of their super high-end mechanical watches, and then the smartwatch.
How much is the core itself then?
I don't think they'll sell you just that.
Because if you wanted to get the updated model, could you keep everything else and just pop out?
I think they would insist that you buy another set of everything. But interestingly, this watch has an Intel Atom chip, which I didn't think they were still going to do, but apparently Intel is still into that.
Yeah, I thought for a while they were going to shut down their mobile business, and then I
Yeah,
keep
I
seeing
mean,
the
I guess
products
they were
with
going to
Intel.
de-emphasize that.
I guess I think Intel will work with anybody who's like who will be a
I
customer.
mean, so and this watch, so it has no LTE, which okay, whatever. It also has no NFC, which I'm sorry for a $1,650 watch. I kind of insist on NFC.
Oh, it doesn't have NFC?
No, it does not.
Oh my god.
And then all the other specs are the same as other watches. It's still just 512 megs of RAM, 4 gigs of storage. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand. No, it looks like.
Oh, sorry. Did I?
The post does say it has NFC.
Okay, that's my bad. And again, I wrote this. So I should really know this. But no, yeah, okay. So it has NFC. But
it does have NFC. We need to.
It does not. It does not have.
It's still dumb, but it has NFC.
Yeah,
but it doesn't have a heart rate sensor. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Which is also dumb. But yeah, so you can buy this thing like
how
right now.
will do Android Pay without a heart rate sensor?
I wonder well, so the watch style still lets you do a lock screen. It understands like when it's moving, like it hasn't moved for a while.
So it's like on body detection mode.
Basically.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense then. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. So
this is very exciting news for rich people who like watches, I'm sure. I'm sure all of them listening to this podcast will be very happy about the news. The other watch is the Mont Blanc, which I haven't actually looked at this point.
The Mont Blanc Summit. And it looks kind of like an LG Watch Urbane. A little bit.
It does. You know, I feel like
it
has the lugs sort of separated from the body though. Like the Urbane was just one giant, vaguely rectangular piece that had some lug type areas. This one looks like it would fit a lot better.
You know,
and then it also has the digital crown.
So the back of this thing looks like a really cheap piece of plastic on the back there, and the cutouts for the heart rate and PPG look like garbage. I mean, the actual case around it looks nice, but I don't know what's going on with the back there. That looks really weird. And then the charger is like the saddest little pogo pin thing, but it has a little Mont Blanc star on it. So there's that.
There you go.
I will say this is probably the best looking Android Wear watch I've seen in a while. I don't know if I like the stainless steel.
It is. It's still super big though. 46 millimeters wide and 12.5 thick.
I just can't do a smartwatch that big on my skinny wrist. I'd look awful.
Yeah, it is too big. Yeah. I mean, I have the Huawei Watch 2 here, and this to me, so the only thing about the size of the watch body is fine, but like any bigger, no thank you. I mean, I would just like a bigger screen and none of the bezel. That's otherwise the size of this watch is fine.
And this one does not have NFC.
Okay, that is dumb. So we can say, to a certainty, that the Mont Blanc is stupid. I'm very, very happy we can announce that today. So yeah, no NFC. That's obnoxious. And it does have a heart rate sensor, though. It looks like,
according to the specs.
Completely ridiculous.
So you just have to get the Mont Blanc one and the other one and wear them at the same time, and you have everything you need.
I like their straps. They've got some nice fabric straps that look pretty good, I think, going on. Some like twill look straps, which I'm partial to, I guess.
So how much do we know how much this one is?
I think almost $900.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I think it starts at 800 something, but it goes up to some obscene number, I think.
If you could buy a Pixel, you could pay that much for one.
Yeah, 890 euro is the European pricing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that they'll make money on every one they sell. That's why they do it.
Yeah.
But this doesn't
build them in batches of 10.
Yeah, this doesn't help Android Wear at all.
Okay, so the Summit has more than 300 Mont Blanc wearable combinations, and wearers can even get a bespoke dial, which I'm going to guess is a pretty penny if you want that. So yeah, I assume this can get very, very expensive as well. Maybe not quite as expensive as the TOG, but probably pretty damn expensive.
Yes.
So those are the two new Android Wear watches, both of which I think it looks like the TOG has a digital crown too. Does it? Is it spinnable, or is it just a button?
I don't think they said. It looked smooth to me, so I assumed
it looks
that
smooth. Right? Maybe it does not look spinnable. I will say any Android Wear watch that comes out without without the crown is dead on arrival. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Google is really emphasizing that navigation mechanic.
Yeah, I remember when we were getting briefed on the LG watches, I asked, so is the digital crown, is that like a guidance for manufacturers going forward? And they didn't say no. It was more like
because they didn't want to make Huawei feel bad.
And
you can do this if you want.
Yeah, you can do it if you want, but you should do it because we're designing the OS around it. Watches having this now. Like
that's
Ryan
really
much scrolling.
That's
now.
really probably the worst thing about when I'm using my Huawei watch on the 2.0 beta. I mean, I can feel like when I'm using my finger to try to go up and down the app list, I'm like, this is not fun. I want my crown.
Yeah, I will say, especially with the small screen on the watch too, like scrolling through the app list is a nightmare.
And it has that bezel that pops up above the screen and like blocks your finger.
So what's great about that, you know how Android Wear is all based on a gesture to go back now everywhere?
Yeah.
80% of the time it doesn't work. I am not exaggerating. 80% of the time I swipe to go back, it just fails. Like it goes part of the way and
you can't swipe far enough for it to
engage.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
That's just a lot of user experience testing went into this product, clearly.
Maybe when they designed it, like it was in that era when the Wear 2.0 beta used the crown button to go back everywhere.
Yeah,
figured that would be okay.
Well, this watch was designed so long ago. I mean, the Huawei probably had no motivation to change it by the time. Huawei's like, we're probably not gonna sell any anyway. You just put it out there. It's already done. This was like the Huawei Watch 2 is like the 6-month-old lasagna in the freezer. I mean, nobody really wants it, but if it's there, maybe
for the kids, why not?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, may as well put it out there. All right, so I think we should move on to our next topic in this week's show, and Jeff is going to tell us a little bit about a certain speaker he has been testing by V-Moda.
Yeah.
Headphones.
Yeah, so they make some pretty good headphones, and this is their first speaker. I actually had a conference call with Val Colton, their CEO, last week for about an hour and a half, and he talked to me about this and a couple other upcoming products. Speaker is this guy right here, for those of you who are watching along. It's about the same size as like a UE Boom, but rectangular. It's pretty hefty as well. It's got aluminum along all the outside here. And it has standard features you'd expect in a speaker, like about 10 hours of battery life, pretty good sound, speakerphone capabilities, but it's also got some cool things and some weird things going on with it as well. One of the cool things is it charges via USB Type-C, which is nice if you're using a phone with USB Type-C. You won't have to dig around and find a micro USB cable. It also has a built-in headphone amplifier, which is kind of a random and cool thing. I guess it's cool if you're sitting at your computer and you're wanting to listen to some high-res audio, but it's not like it's something you could stick in your pocket and carry around with you for listening to your headphones on the go. But if that's something that you're going to use, maybe it makes the price tag at $300 a little more justifiable, having that built-in headphone amplifier. In terms of weird things, Val Colton really talked up the customization abilities of this speaker. In particular, you can buy end caps for it that are made out of various materials. They start at about $170, and they go up to $370,000 for solid platinum end caps on this. You can also swap out the speaker grill for precious metals that are in the tens of thousands of dollars as well. They also have some plastic ones that are about $40. So you can customize the whole thing in plastic for about $200 or $300, but that's the same price as the speaker, and frankly, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on some custom end plates is a little bit ludicrous. I asked them if anyone ever buys those, because they had them for their headphones as well, custom shields that were in the like $17,000 to $20,000 range. And he says that they actually do sell a fair amount of them, which is shocking to me. I'm not sure who's buying
3 letters UAE.
Yes,
this is like
kind of Emirates.
This is like adding a $99 in-app purchase to your game. Like, it takes almost no effort to do this if you're already doing all the other stuff, and like somebody is going to buy it. Like 2 people will buy it, and that's like pure profit.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's kind of ludicrous, and they're 3D printing them, so they're making them one at a time. So it's not like they've got a backlog of 30,000 platinum end caps that's sitting in a closet someplace. They're just making them as they go. But I mean, how many speakers do you have to sell in order to equal the profit from one $370,000 end cap?
Yeah. I'm looking at some of the end cap things, and a lot of them are pretty ugly.
Well, I think honestly, as much praise as Vmoda's products get for their performance, aesthetically, Euro trash. Honestly, this stuff doesn't look good.
Yeah, he designed them for
headphone. They're really good.
They are good sounding for sure, but they're designed, I think, for Euro DJs. It's like the target market, and that could not be further from what I am.
So it's a $300 speaker. Like, you don't buy any of their crazy
$300
things. Is that something that people should buy over speakers that cost substantially less?
I mean, there are a lot of other speakers that are about this price point. If you look at the UE Mega Boom or the anything from Bose, the SoundLink 2. So it's in a competitive price range, and it honestly sounds phenomenal. And it has a great maximum volume as well, particularly when you place it about 8 or 10 inches away from a wall. It has really good bass reflex. So, I mean, it's not a bad sounding speaker. If I'm going to spend this much money on a speaker, though, there are a couple of things that it's missing that I feel should be included. One is weather protection. It has no waterproofing or dustproofing of any kind, which is a major downer. You can't take it outside to play without worrying about it getting ruined. So that's something that it's missing, and it's also got really sharp corners on it. The aluminum one. I'd worry about my kid knocking it over and giving himself a concussion with it. But
so it, you can like plug it into AC and just like leave it, right?
Yeah, you could just plug it in, and they talk about as well using it as a companion to your Echo Dot and just having it connected constantly to have audio come out of that instead of your cheap $40 Dot. So, I mean, that's an interesting component as well. You can also link multiple together, so you could have 2 or 3 of them together, all in their $370,000 M caps, and it'd be quite remarkable, I'm sure.
So you link them together physically or with Bluetooth?
You can link them together physically, daisy chain style, I believe. I think that you might be able to do it via Bluetooth as well. The setup for the amplifier, you have to physically plug in a phone to the back of the speaker and have another cable coming out to your headphones. So it's kind of a weird thing. I just don't understand or know how many people are going to want that.
You're an audiophile person, so you wouldn't want the speaker to be pushing out the Bluetooth decoded audio through the headphone jack. You'd want to be decoding it directly on the phone and having the signal from the phone as a USB audio device go directly into the DAC and amp inside the little inside the speaker, and then put it out through the headphone jack. So it makes sense. I don't see a use for that, but the way
my main issue is it's a $300 device you can't take on the go. It's not very mobile. If you're going to spend that kind of money, you can buy yourself a Sonos speaker or another Wi-Fi enabled speaker and get much better audio quality with lossless files and have that you're not going to be moving around, because this is really not a speaker you're going to carry around with you very often. It's probably going to stay plugged in, and it sounds good, but a Wi-Fi speaker is going to sound better than a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, maybe. I guess it depends on the speaker, but yeah, Sonos's cheapest product is what they have, like the one does Sonos make one with a battery now? I never
know if they do or not. I'm not.
Yeah, I want to try out Sonos new the Playbase. I think they're going to send me one of those, but let's see. I think the Play One is their smallest speaker.
I got a couple of speakers from another company called Romfeld about a week ago that I'm also playing with, and those are slightly larger than this, but their entry level one is at about the $250 price point. It sounds significantly better. The downside there is there's no batteries and it has to stay plugged in all the time.
Yeah. I've seen their stuff. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. That is what's it called again? The Vmoda, what do they call it?
The Remix is what it's called.
Okay. Yeah. I will say their headphones do sound very good. But $300 for a portable speaker, I think it's more of a competitive market. Especially, I think Bose has way more clout than anybody else at that price level. And Bose for sure sells real well. Have you used any of the SoundLink stuff?
Have I?
Yeah.
Oh, I've used a couple of them. I don't own any. I have a lot of speakers from JBL and UE though that I think are pretty fair comparables between the SoundLink. And the audio quality is very good on the speaker. I will say that for a Bluetooth speaker, it sounds excellent. So.
Okay. All right. So I think we'll go ahead and move on then to the phone review we just published today, or I just published today, which is the U Ultra, which I have somewhere around here. I actually don't think I have it on my desk right now. I ran away from that phone after I was done reviewing it. I was like, nope, I'm done. I don't want to use it anymore. It goes onto the charger into a corner, putting my SIM card back in the G6 prototype. Yeah, running back to the prototype phone. That's how I feel about the poor HTC U Ultra. So the things I like about this phone, let's start with that because it won't take very long. The design, it's pretty. I think HTC, especially with the blue color, the all glass body with the blue aluminum mid frame, well, it's good. I like it. It is a fingerprint magnet. I've never felt so self-conscious about my finger oil as when I have been using this phone. Like
Does it just have like a weird coating or something?
It's just the finish is so uniform and even. It's like just a solid block of high gloss color because the glass is physically colored, so the color goes all the way to the top, and so the fingerprints reflect directly at that layer. They're not reflecting underneath at all, which I think tends to mitigate the fingerprint effect on the Galaxy phones a little bit. But on this, it is painfully obvious every time it gets fingerprinting, and it's embarrassing almost. Like you kind of just want to put a case on it.
Oh gosh, that would drive me nuts.
It drove me
insane. The Sony Z3, like I had to put a case on that thing. The back was such a.
Well, I've heard the new ZX Premium is going to be even the worst in that regard because
it's so glossy. Oh my god,
platinum gloss finish or whatever. But the U Ultra is pretty bad this way, especially because there's like no seams or lines to break up the back or anything. It's all just that one solid piece of glass.
Aesthetically, it just gets worse, right? That's good.
Yes. I mean, it looks good though. I mean, the blue is really striking. I think they did a good job designing like most of the phone there. Sense is fine on Android Nougat. I think HTC's changes are mostly beneficial, and where they're not beneficial, I would say they're aesthetic and don't get in the way. Easily the lightest version of Sense HTC has ever shipped because HTC probably doesn't have enough money to keep developing Sense in a meaningful way, which is fine by me and probably fine by every other.
You know what they could have probably done to make people more interested in this phone is they could have just stopped with Sense and spun it like we're not doing this because we're poor. We're doing this because people want a cleaner build of Android, and they could have just like added some extra like apps or services or whatever, and just give it up. Just give up on Sense.
Yeah, they probably could have just re-released the M7 with new internals and done better than this.
Yeah, I will say the changes they are making with Sense at this point are so minimal that honestly, I don't care either way. The only thing I would take concern with is what it means for the speed of updates. But HTC's been notoriously unreliable about that anyway. So I'm not, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing or that it's a great thing. It is what it is. As far as everything else in the software, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I was just going to ask, does it feel as huge as it looks in pictures?
Oh, it's gigantic. It's not as big as an Nexus 6 though, so it's not like crazy.
It's not as big as like the biggest Android phone ever. That's
well, I mean, there have been bigger, but it's huge.
Oh, yeah,
so
it's not a Galaxy.
Well, the Dolphin's quite small.
I do have a Fab 2 Pro here someplace.
Yeah,
so
the U Ultra is bigger substantially than a Note 7. So that's a good frame of reference.
That's freaking huge.
Yeah, it's a massive phone, and it's not thin either. It's 9 millimeters thick. It's the same thickness as pretty much any other phone.
How big is the battery?
3,000 milliamp hours.
Oh.
So okay, let me just provide some perspective here. So last year, the HTC 10 comes out with a 5.2-inch Quad HD display. How big is the battery? Give me 3,000 milliamp hours. HTC comes out with a new phone almost a year later with a 5.7-inch screen and then a ticker display on top.
Gosh,
the battery not any bigger.
I don't know what is least forgivable. The fact that the battery is smaller, that the camera still has the same problems that their phones have had for like generations now.
Oh yes, we will get to that because that was unfortunately a very annoying thing. But so the battery life on this phone is, if you're thinking, wow, 3,000 milliamp hours, that sounds really small for a phone with a 5.7-inch screen and a secondary ticker display. you'd be right. It is very small. The phone on mobile data only, I had some days where I was getting 2 hours of screen on time. So in the phone
gosh.
has a total of like 10 hours.
I was getting 3 hours on the Moto Z when that came out with a tiny battery, and I thought that was pretty unacceptable.
Yeah, I think you can eke out 3 hours with this on mobile data, but you got to play real, aggressively with screen brightness and to really make that happen.
Man, that is a huge screw up.
Yeah,
that's just unacceptable.
It is. It is totally unacceptable. It is easily the one thing that makes this phone impossible to recommend it at almost any price. I mean, they'd have to kind of give these things away for that to really work. So the battery thing is, if you're looking for the one reason to avoid this phone, that's it. But there are others. So
wait, there's more.
There is so much more. There's no headphone jack. HTC says this is for
it's a cost-saving measure.
It's cost-saving, design-saving, user experience. It's a dumb reason. The phone's not.
What they really mean. What they really mean is iPhone doesn't have one, so we're not going to have one.
The Pixel's selling so well that HTC ran out of headphone jacks. Yes,
yeah,
that's exactly what it is. They're plumb out.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a headphone jack. It does include a USB to 3.5 millimeter adapter, and so that's in there. They also include a pair of Sonic USB-C headphones, which suck. So the idea of these headphones is they're supposed to use, the phone's, fancy 360 or 3D audio microphones, measure the audio levels around you and then compensate the equalization and loudness and stuff in the headphones to better suit your ambient noise profile.
That sounds like a gimmick.
Ooh, it is. All it does is adjust the loudness and the bass, as far as I can tell. It's just applying equalizer curves and adding a loudness boost when there's a lot of noise around.
But it sure sounded a lot fancier than that. So.
Yeah, and so the result is it ruins your music. That is what this feature does. If you were very excited about that, please go buy this phone. The headphones themselves are way too bassy. They're not very good. They're comfortable, but the housings on them are huge because of the amount of bass they're designed to produce. They were just not good. So beyond that, I think that there's probably not a lot about this phone that is remarkable. The camera is okay at best in good conditions. It can take good photos, but in the low light, it's HTC for the last 4 years all over again.
Oh man.
Motion blur, even with OIS, there's red tinting on the pictures indoors, especially. The amount of noise is.
How could they still be doing that? The red tinting has been an issue for so long.
I mean, you take pictures of red things inside and they turn out like pink because the red gets saturated up so high. It's unbelievable to me that this is still an issue for them. And by the way, the screen also is tinted red.
Again?
HTC. Yep.
Yeah, they like that nice warm filter there.
It's like a dingy. It gives the display this dingy quality that is just not great.
So okay, and yours is all scratched up.
Yes. So Gorilla Glass 5. You'll note there are not many phones out there with Gorilla Glass 5, and I think this is for a reason. So I have never had a phone get as scratched up during my, I've been testing it for a week, 9 days. There are probably 2 to 3 dozen scratches on the front of that phone.
Oh my gosh. That would drive me nuts.
Now, to be fair, I am not nice with my phones. But at the same time, I'm not nice with all the phones I test. This one got more scratches than any other phone I've tested ever. By far.
Did you take it surfing while you're using it, or
no? I usually what I'll do sometimes.
Did you use it as a surfboard?
I'll put the phone screen down if I don't want to see the notifications popping up or the light blinking or whatever, and I'll do it absent-mindedly. And this phone doesn't have a lip bezel on the screen, so the screen directly contacts whatever you put it on. But the thing is, the scratches are deep. You can feel them. They're not just little scuffs. There's something going on with the Gorilla Glass 5. And it is.
And every time David found a concrete surface, he slammed the phone.
I did. Slammed it and just dragged it as hard as I could.
And took lots of pictures.
And then he rubbed the Tag Heuer diamond watch across the screen just for good measure.
That's what I did. Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, you can tell the Gorilla Glass 5 is the issue because the back of the phone, which I abuse just as much, has barely any scratches on it. They're 2 little tiny ones.
So what's the back made out of?
Not Gorilla Glass 5.
Just some
Glass
glass.
4, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably just like tempered glass or something. But
Microwave glass, yeah. We used to bake.
yeah, because it's HTC has to use some special chemical process to make it. So I sincerely
Ah.
doubt it's Gorilla Glass because
Yeah.
it's not just a cover; it's blended material.
What
It's
was
like
the advertised advantage of Gorilla Glass 5 over 4? Is it just thinner?
More shatter resistant.
But scratches are still
I
bad.
see.
Okay.
So I've read about this, and when the Note 7 came out, Jerry Rig Everything, that YouTube channel, released a video where his Mo's picks scratch a Note 7 with a way softer pick than it was supposed to. But it turned out there was like abrasive material on the pick from transfer, and they kind of settled their differences and decided that Gorilla Glass 5 was just as hard as Gorilla Glass 4.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there.
Does the U Ultra have a curved display, or is it totally flat?
Totally flat.
So at least you could put a screen protector on it.
If you buy this phone, which you won't, but if you did in a hypothetical universe, you should definitely put a screen protector on it. I would definitely recommend that. It also costs $750. Only works on GSM networks in the United States. Has no dust or waterproofing. And what else? What else about this phone is like befuddling? I think that mostly covers it.
I mean, we've already given at least a dozen reasons people shouldn't buy it. So
yeah,
well,
man,
at least
it's very confusing to me.
This is real bad for HTC.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that they were doing a couple years ago, everyone loved, were the front-facing speakers that everyone's aped, and they've even nixed that feature now. So it's
well, they have the one they have on the HTC 10, where the bottom firing and the earpiece both work together.
It's just not.
It sounds better, but it's not loud enough.
No,
it's not bad.
They've walked backwards since the M8 on that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
what does HTC do now? Like, they can't possibly still have money to keep going.
They're
like,
Google's Foxconn.
The Pixel can't. I mean, how much? We don't know how much Google's paying them, but that can't be enough for them to continue bungling phone launches every 8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand what's happening here. I'm not sure why these were these pipelined before HTC decided to do a strategy change, or I don't understand. So what I'm hoping is we'll see a mainstream flagship phone from HTC middle of this year in the summer that is more of a proper successor to the HTC 10.
They really need to just stop with hey, what if we do these crazy things? Let's put a ticker display on this. Let's make it out of glass and get rid of the headphone jack. Sure, I guess if you were Samsung and you could afford to completely destroy a phone launch like Samsung did 4 months ago and not even miss a beat, then fine, go ahead and do crazy things. But if you're HTC and you haven't had a hit phone in 3 years, you need to just do what works.
It feels like they drew features out of a hat, one from each manufacturer. We'll grab the ticker screen from LG. We'll remove the headphone jack from Apple. It's just, it's not their best effort.
No, and I just don't. Oh, the other thing that bugged me, the camera module sticks out ridiculously far from the back. It's just lazy in that sense. Well, yeah, that's where it goes. All right, let's call it a day.
I cannot.
So there's just all these little things and big things, and so the phone. It's kind of a disaster. It's $750. I mean, even if this phone costs if HTC can make it cost $500, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. I still wouldn't.
What would the price point be for you?
At $750 and there's no payment plan or anything, it's more expensive than a Pixel XL. I can't imagine why.
No, there's no
literally $500 in a few months.
Yeah. So that phone is dead on arrival, and I don't think any price change can fix that. Even if it costs the same money as a OnePlus 3T, if you took it down to $380, the OnePlus 3T is better. It's just a better phone.
The fact that no carriers are offering it, I think, is very telling about HTC's status.
Yeah, ouch.
Yeah, HTC has fallen out of the grace of the carriers, without a doubt. The U.S. carriers want nothing to do with them anymore, and I think that's obvious. Aside from Sprint. Sprint is happy to have a custom-built HTC phone, apparently, because they had the Bolt. Which, by the way, the Bolt was water-resistant. They couldn't do it for the new ones?
Even as much as we talk about LG having a tough time and not selling as many phones as they would have hoped, they can still make carrier deals. People still buy LG's phones.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yep.
And
they do.
Not so much with HTC.
No, HTC is having a real hard time. So hopefully they'll have something in the middle of the year that is much less compromised on every level, and it better have a really big battery in it.
Yeah, that's totally inexcusable.
Yeah.
I want to
$6,000
look inside this phone and just see, like, there must just be, like HTC's phones on the inside are like, they're like electronic spaghetti usually. I don't know how they usually pack things in so efficiently. I don't know how this could have such a small battery for how big it is.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere that one of the executives on the phone said that they didn't want to make the battery bigger because it would have somehow compromised the shape that they were going for. Like
They
of
really
the
wanted
back.
to retain that camera hump as much as they could. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a totally confusing phone. Like it's like I didn't go in wanting to hate it at all. I just like it was.
I don't know if I believe that coming from you, David.
I liked it when I first for like the first 10 minutes I used it. I was like, huh, this is kind of nice. And then like with each passing day.
And that's high praise from David. That's the nicest thing he's ever said about it.
It was so pretty. I was
for 10 minutes, man. That's longer than I lost.
I was starstruck with that, with the blue color and everything. So back to the LG G6 for me, which I'm already infinitely more in love with than the U Ultra.
So it sounds like the tagline for the campaign is HTC U Ultra. The blue color is nice. That's kind of sums it up right there.
Okay. So like, I'm confused about their assertion that making the battery bigger would have messed up the shape of the phone, because so the Mate 9 has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery and it's thinner.
It's impossible, Ryan. The science doesn't allow it.
I just don't understand.
It's the internal headphone jack, the secret one they're hiding there, that's taking up all the room.
Yeah.
The Bluetooth headphone jack.
Yeah,
it's like on the iPhone 7 where you have to drill it.
There's still a headphone jack inside. It's just Bluetooth only.
So, actually, Ryan has a G6 and I have a G6. Maybe we should talk about the G6 a little bit. Ryan, how long have you had yours?
MWC week.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember. Okay, you had it the same day. Yeah. Okay, so we both had it a long time now. I just switched back to the G6 today after finishing the U Ultra review, discarding that. So Ryan, what are your thoughts on it so far?
I like it more than I thought I would. Because I don't know, like in the leaks, like I just thought like this is. I felt like LG was making a lot more mistakes with the design, and there's still things I don't like about it. But and I pick it up, I'm like, I can live with this. This is fine. I know that sounds like pretty bad praise, but no, like I pick it up and I'm like, no, this is all right. I mean, I don't love the way they did the curved corners of the screen, but I think in general it looks pretty nice if you don't look at it too closely. The very thin bezels are, I think, very well done. The camera being flush with the back, thank you, LG, long overdue. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty good phone. The camera is a little bit better than last year. The display, I think, in general, looks pretty nice. I don't know that I really feel strongly about the aspect ratio one way or the other. It's
I don't really
interesting. It's an interesting thing. Like I feel like I really only become aware of it when I open one of LG's apps that has like extra stuff, like at the top or the bottom to take advantage of it. But I am concerned that they're going to ask a lot of money for it, and that's probably going to be not good.
Well, we have the pricing in the U.S. For T-Mobile,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
$650, which I think I expect, except for AT&T, who want what $7 something.
And in like a month and a half, it'll be $200 less than that. So
yeah, exactly. AT&T wants too much money for their phones at launch.
Yeah,
I think $700 is probably where it's going to be.
Taking away the removable battery will upset some people, but yeah, for sure. I think LG will probably sell many more G6s than G5s.
I would guess it will do better than the G5. I think that's a distinct possibility. I don't know how much better, though.
What is with the trend with the rounded screen corners, by the way, on this?
I think that's 1,000% LG knew Samsung was going to do it, and they're like, all right, we got to do it.
Heard Samsung was going to do that, and they're like,
is that going to be a thing that everyone apes in the Android community now, or is that just going to be a fad?
Oh, that's definitely going to be a thing in every Chinese Android phone next year.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing this.
They're just going to get more and more dramatic until eventually we have circular phones that are essentially large Android Wear devices.
So the prototypes that we have, they're running Android 7.0, but the final versions are supposed to be 7.1. I don't imagine that they will be dramatically different, but I've had like some weird software bug things with mine. So I mean, I assume
I haven't had
that'll
too
be
many
better.
weird bugs. I had a weird one earlier today. There's an update. I hadn't used it in obviously over a week, and I downloaded the OTA update, and some weird things started happening. So I can't really comment as to that too much yet, because with 7.1 update, hopefully things will get better.
How's longevity been for you guys?
It was fine for
Well,
me.
one of the bugs I've been having is like some weird battery life stuff. So I'm probably not. I probably can't.
I would
Okay.
guess. So what I would guess is that if you factory reset the phone after the OTA update they put out, it'd probably be fine. But I'm guessing that it's going to cause issues on a.
Yeah. When I first got it, the battery life seemed more than acceptable.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, I don't know, David. Do you think LG is gonna be happier with the way this goes?
Oh, I think as far as reviews and stuff go, they'll be way happier. I mean, there's no big gimmick they're relying on here. I mean, I think that
it's like LG was like, hey, we should probably just make a phone that is good that people will buy that doesn't take any stupid risks. And then HTC was like, okay, guys, hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going in.
That's very much how it felt. All the HTC U Ultra needed was modules, and we would be. But I think
it's like Nintendo with the Wii U over again, where everyone just wanted them to make a normal console. It's like, hey guys, we just made a gamepad for your home console.
Yeah. I think that the industrial design on G6, I don't think it's a pretty phone, but it feels nice.
Striking pictures.
Yeah, it is striking.
It is built better than any phone LG has made, probably ever. Yeah,
definitely ever. This is the nicest.
They've always felt cheap, so that's good to hear.
Yeah,
I mean, it is still it's glass on the back, so I mean,
it's glass, but it feels like plastic, which is an impressive achievement on LG's part. I think it's just because of the textured look to it that it feels a little, or your brain wants to think it's plastic, but it's not the biggest.
Your brain just knows it's an LG phone, and you're like, this is plastic, right?
I will say what I noticed, somebody pointed out to me the other day, is that the volume keys on my pre-production unit are very there's not a lot of travel to them, and they're kind of squishy.
That drives me crazy.
Yeah, hopefully they'll fix that.
That's how the buttons on my Nexus 5 were, I remember. And actually, that's how it broke, is that the power button got stuck and it wouldn't do anything. Apparently, it was a common problem, which actually reminds me, I really hope LG delivers on their promise that this one won't boot loop. But
I think LG just got sued today for boot loop, so I'm guessing LG really hopes boot loop.
I mean, I've got a dead 5X in my desk here with evidence. I'm not buying another LG phone for a while.
Yeah, that was bad for them. I will say, so I saw Michael Fisher in his video about it. He loves the cameras.
Yeah,
I don't know if I share this sentiment. The sensors are not that good. Like the process.
I mean, I think they're. I think the bar is just so high. They're better than previous LG phones. I mean, they're not as good as the Pixel or Samsung's phones. If you use the wide-angle lens, it's a better sensor this time for the wide-angle stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
LG's processing is just generally kind of weird. It gets like, I think we talked about this before. It gets kind of like that modeled look.
Yeah, it's like it's somebody oil painted your phone.
Kind of like Sony's phones.
But if you don't like crop it heavily or look really closely, I think it looks nice. Like if you share it on the internet, people will say, "Oh, that is a nice, vibrant picture." With
I think if you look at it on your phone, it looks nice. I think if you're looking on a mobile device, it looks nice. If you pick one of those things out on a desktop computer, it's like, oh no. That's my problem. That like, okay, I understand what LG's point is with the processing, and they've been using this kind of processing since the G4. Because I remember it distinctly, especially on the low light shots. Like it literally looked like a painting when you would get up close. And I guess my thing is, well, the Pixel can take really good pictures, and they don't have to look like that on a desktop computer when you go to look at them. I guess it comes down to kind of your personal philosophy on how you're looking at and consuming your photos and how other people are looking at them, I suppose.
I mean, a lot of these phones are using the same image sensors, I would imagine. Sony supplies still a big chunk of them. I don't understand how they have such dramatic differences in their post processing. So
I think that a lot of it does come down to, I mean, Samsung especially, I know, does almost all of their own post-processing stuff. That's, that they've been doing that since like the Galaxy S5, I think, where they really aggressively involved themselves in the camera stack.
Samsung
LG
actually makes a lot of cameras.
They do. They do. They make cameras and camera sensors. They made camera sensors for a number of Galaxy phones in the past too. So they definitely know what they're doing. I think the thing with Google is, I had somebody trying to convince me that like everything about the Pixel camera is all Qualcomm, and I think they're a liar. But
if that were true, then I think there would be a lot more phones of similar quality.
Like maybe HTC's cameras wouldn't suck so bad.
I don't understand how they could build the Pixel and still have terrible cameras. So they must not be involved in that portion.
Yeah. So I think I just, whatever LG's doing at the processing isn't my favorite. I would prefer a more balanced approach, but I mean that's kind of nitpicky. I guess overall they are good cameras. The front-facing camera though seems bad. I don't usually notice that, but I think they had to like shrink it because of the bezel.
I haven't used it enough to know.
I think it's a 5 megapixel.
Now, have you guys used the wide angle lens a lot?
I've used it a bit.
Yeah, I've used it some. I mean, I personally don't really get a lot out of it, but I understand why people like it.
Mm-hmm.
It provides,
panoramas just as easy.
For the opposite of what you would probably usually use it for, taking pictures like of rooms indoors. You do get like the bendy effect at the edges because of lens distortion, but like you get a sense of space that's really cool. If you want to take like a picture of a room, it's a striking effect, especially if you can like stabilize it on a something and use the manual mode to drop the shutter time down and lower the ISO.
So great for real estate agents then, huh?
Actually, yeah, it would be a great phone for real estate agents. Rooms will look huge with the LG G6. Yeah, they really will. So that's a little feather in its cap. I also like the aspect ratio we talked about, but I think that having the screen of this size and such a compact body is nice.
How is the screen itself?
Very palmable. The screen is very typical LG.
Yeah.
Blue.
Yeah. I mean,
lots of blue.
I mean, it's a little warm. I think that LG's screens have always been pretty good in general, and this one is.
Aside from the extreme blueness, I still think it's way bluer. Because if you put this phone next to any other phone and look at the display, everything else looks yellow by comparison, and so LG is too blue. They always have that. But I think that's kind of their signature look. I think that's what they consider their.
I feel like
their aesthetic.
I feel like I prefer screens that are cooler than warmer. I think that's probably how most people are. That's why LG does it.
Yeah, I think the whites look cleaner when they're cooler for sure.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Samsung does a little on the cool side, but their whites
as bad as it used to be though.
Yeah. So I think
Samsung really prides themselves on having very accurate colors with their AMOLEDs.
Well, if you use the basic mode, yeah, they're very accurate. If you don't, they're not accurate at all. But I think LG did a pretty solid job here overall so far. But the performance seems pretty good. After using the U Ultra and coming back to G6, I'm like, no, LG did it better. Which is kind of
it is a fast phone, yeah. But I mean, the G5 was fast too. Like for all of its faults, like it was a snappy phone.
It was pretty quick. I felt like the HTC 10 was quicker last year, though. For whatever reason, maybe I'm making that up. I felt like the 10 was like the quickest of the mainstream ones. Maybe next to the Moto Z. Moto Z was really fast.
It was, yeah. I mean, it also lasts 3 hours on charge if you were lucky. So.
Yes, that was a slight issue with the Moto Z.
So between the G6, which will be like $650.
Yeah.
Between that and a V20 that you can pick up for about half that cost, which would you choose?
Oh, G6 every day of the week. I got a question.
I would probably say the G6, unless you feel really strongly about removable batteries, which some people do.
Well, some people are wrong, so it's okay.
The V20 is definitely a much less attractive phone.
It is. The V20 is quite ugly. The surprise robot thing on the G6 is a little less pronounced, especially with the cameras now being flush against the back of the body. And I would almost guarantee that the G6's battery lasts substantially longer. The V20's battery life was not great. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't anything exceptional. And the V20 had light bleed on the bottom of the screen.
Especially at the top because of the way the panel works.
Yeah. Yeah, with the ticker display and everything, and it was just kind of an unwieldy, ugly phone. So no, I think the G6 definitely is a major step up on the V20. I saw a lot of people saying that LG, had just taken the V20 and improved it when they made the G6, and that didn't make any sense.
It's a very
It seemed
different,
completely unrelated, aside
it
from
is a
the
very
surprise
different
robot
device.
thing. Yeah, otherwise
Yeah.
they don't feel similar at all. Aside from LG's like signature rear-mounted power key, which I'm kind of taking
I wish they would still do the volume buttons back there. I like that.
I like that too, actually, because especially if you're trying to change volume, like when your phone was in your pocket and you had headphones in or something.
Okay, and here's the thing.
I always felt like I was pushing the phone out of my hand. So.
I strongly dislike having the power button also being the fingerprint sensor.
I agree.
Because sometimes I just want to wake up the phone and see the lock screen. I don't want it to also unlock.
I agree, times 10 on that. For sure.
Yeah, I think that's mostly like a kind of like muscle memory habit thing, and it's just an irrational need to look at the lock screen. But I agree. I would rather have a separate power button. Wouldn't kill you, LG.
Yeah.
Maybe you can make them both power buttons.
Yeah, I still think rear-mounted fingerprint sensors are the way to go.
That might actually make more sense if the rear button was like a custom key, and then you had a regular power key.
I would support that as well.
Yeah, that seems like okay. Ship it. All right. Yeah. So I think hopefully we'll be getting production ready versions of the G6. What I've heard, let me look at my calendar here, early next week, hopefully. And so we'll have a review out shortly after that for you to consume. But I think with that, we've exhausted our topics for this week's show, or at least the ones we've had time to cover. So if you enjoyed the show, or if you didn't enjoy the show, we always welcome your feedback at podcasts@androidpolice.com. Thank you to, I think, 3 of you that emailed this week for providing your feedback. We do read it. Even if I don't respond back to the negative ones always, because maybe you make me a little bit upset. But the negative feedback is necessary too.
So I know how HTC feels.
Yes. HTC. So thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Sorry, I cut us off there a little early. I have to go meet somebody in a little while, so I don't really have time.
And I think we have sufficient material.
Yeah, I got an hour and 5 minutes captured, which should come out to like 58 minutes by the time I'm done cutting it apart. So
nice.
Should be fine. All right. Stop the broadcast.